Good afternoon, or perhaps good morning to all of you social media friends, friends of mine, whether you are first degree friends or second, as well as friends that I don't have yet. You're absolutely welcome. So welcome to today's episode of Selling That House. I've got a special guest that is joining me from a couple of time zones different from mine. So if you're tuning in to today's live stream or watching this as an on-demand recording in the Pacific Northwest, I'm giving you a hint. Welcome. Let me give a rip-roaring fan base applause to welcome my guest, Angela Angel, into the conversation. So let's get her fan base to give her that rip-roaring rock star welcome. Here we go. Yep. She's getting herself ready. She's gonna come out of her guest room. And as we welcome her into the conversation, let's get her ready. Angela, how are you today?
Hi guys, how are you? I'm doing good.
Yeah. What's your day, what's your morning so far been like for you in the greater Seattle area?
This morning it is not raining, so yay. Even though everybody thinks Seattle rains, it does it all the time. So it's a beautiful day today, and I got the kids on the bus, and then I was doing stuff with my book, promoting my book, and then I was doing real estate and had a couple of meetings, and now I'm meeting with you.
So what I'm hearing is you are a woman of many talents. We're going to talk about all of your talents in a little bit. Let's start off with the most obvious one, and that is for your fans, your social media friends who know you, you are absolutely a real estate broker in the greater Seattle area, correct?
Correct, I am.
Yeah. Can you start off? This is the what I call the easy pitch to warm you up. Can you start off sharing with your friends, your fan base in the greater Seattle area? But more importantly, let's expand that. Can you share with new friends who are thinking about moving to the greater Seattle area who don't know you yet? What is going on with the real estate market in greater Seattle?
Well, right now we have a big inventory of homes. And so definitely if you're thinking about moving to Seattle, this is probably a good time. And not necessarily just Seattle, Washington in general. I mean, the entire state is beautiful. Eye candy everywhere. So, again, it's the market is a little bit of seller's market, but still it's a buying market. There's a lot of inventory and a lot of homes and a lot of good deals that we can get right now. Because the sellers need to sell.
Gotcha. So what I think I'm hearing is when a property is priced to sell, the potential is absolutely there to draw in multiple buyer offers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the other spectrum, when a property is priced to sell, but depending on whether it's new construction, existing resale, maybe a unicorn property, it's still readily available to attract and draw in the right buyer. Correct?
Correct. Yes, and
Okay.
if it's been sitting on the market a minute, we might have some negotiating tools to go with because it's been sitting for a minute. So if it's priced to sell, it's going to sell within 30 days. If it's not, then we might have a little bit of more to work with as a
True.
buying agent.
Yeah. And for those of you watching us, listening to this real estate data that Angela is sharing with you today, who doesn't want a good deal, right? All buyers want a good deal.
Yep, yep, yep. And we want a good deal for them because they are our clients.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me about this. How long have you lived in the greater Seattle area? And then prior to calling Seattle, greater Seattle area, your home, where did you live before and what did you do?
So I've been in Seattle, Washington, actually Washington, for 11 years this year. I lived in Texas before, in Houston and Katy. For people that know the surrounding areas of Houston, I lived in Katy, and I was a real estate agent as well. And so I've been doing real estate for 17 years this year. So I was doing
Wow.
a while in Texas, and I moved to Washington, and I still had a clientele in Texas, and so I was kept both of my license for a
Oh,
little bit. Yeah, and then I kind of started referring them to my other agents down there that are amazing, in Katy. So yeah.
yeah. So a big shout out to your fan base in Katy, Texas. I know where that's at. I know where
Oh,
that is at. I
yeah,
have I have some clients who call Katy their home, and a few clients who own rental investment properties. You know, like townhomes, condos, one unit, single family homes. So
yeah,
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 I remember having to look up some information to help them in their next chapter, if you
yeah.
will. What is different between selling, buying real estate in Texas versus the state of Washington? Can you talk to us about that?
Well, the price point to start with, the price point was a big jump for me from Texas, from Houston to here. But it's just a little bit different because the job market's different. Of course, your pay is different. Um, Everything is a little bit different than Texas, and so that's going to be the difference. Is and the homes are totally different. I didn't even know what a basement was when I moved here. What there's basements? What people live down there? What's going on?
Right, right.
And so I didn't know what a crawl space was. I learned about that because in Texas you don't you have a foundation. That's it. There's
That's
no
it.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so those are a little bit of difference, and that was really fun to learn about. And a lot of people come here. I'm like, oh yeah, we can just build this and remodel it, and we can put our mothers down there or whatever, our kids. And so yeah, it's the homes are different, and it's beautiful up here, and the homes are beautiful. So yeah.
yeah. I would suspect, given what I know about Texas, the the need to drive and run your AC is so different in Texas versus that of Seattle, right?
Yeah. So when I moved here, we rented a house because I wasn't sure where I was gonna end up, where my agency was gonna be. So we just kind of rented a house to figure out where I was gonna be,
Right.
and it had no AC, and I'm from Texas, and I
Yeah.
melt, I
Yeah.
melt. So I just could not understand why Washington didn't have ACs. But after going through the summer here, I see that you only have a couple of days where you don't need the AC. However, all the new homes are coming with ACs now because people are moving from the south up here, and we kind of want ACs no matter what. So it gets 80 and mine comes on.
Yeah. You're a native Texan that needs a
I
little bit
can't
of
change it.
cool.
I
Yeah.
cannot change it.
Now, with regard to, you mentioned the job market, employers, how is that different in the state of Washington compared to Texas?
So Texas, you have more of the chemical plants and engineers and that kind of thing. Although now the tech world is kind of moving to Texas
Yeah,
as
sure.
well.
Yeah,
Um, but we're pretty techy up here in Washington. So we have the Google and we have a Microsoft and we have Amazon and
Right,
we also have the airplanes, Boeing,
right, right.
which is a big contribution to Washington. So, and all the military. So we have a constant flow turnover. And that was the biggest thing I had to get used to because even though in, in the wintertime it slows down, it doesn't slow down in Washington. There's still turnover. People are moving out for the military and people are relocating for, the corporate. So that's the main difference is that our actual cells and our homes turn all the
Yeah,
time. It's not
that's
just
good.
stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, you don't have what I call the peaks and valleys of your real estate business. Kind of there's constant activity, right?
Yes, and we do have the peaks and valleys. However, it's not as extreme as it
Got
is
it.
in Texas. I mean, literally, it's October, November, kids go back to school, holidays, everyone's done.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving until, start maybe March, February, March, we might start talking about it again.
Right, right, right. Um, let's now move the conversation to one aspect of your real estate business that I think some of us consumers, maybe enough of us consumers, are scratching our head with because we either read, hear some dimension of this thing called broker compensation changes.
Mhm.
Um, in your experience, is it a nothing burger? Meaning there's really no change in maybe how you run your business. Maybe it's just that of you have to be more transparent, more communication around Mr. or Mrs. Buyer. You should know this up front. Is that
Mhm.
kind of what I'm
Mhm.
guessing?
Yep. So, what I do love about Washington is they have us prepared a year in advance. And so as soon as this lawsuit started happening, they started preparing our forms, what we were going to say, and how we were going to explain it to the buyers because they don't understand. I can honestly tell you when I bought my first house
Yeah.
and I was not a real estate agent, I had no clue what anything was going on. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So, I didn't know how she got paid. I was like, how do you get paid? And that's the biggest question. And that is what that broker thing is for, is to explain to them how our compensation is and that that now it's changed from how the seller actually if they even do what if they don't, then how do you get
Right.
paid? And so it's really just a conversation and we have to have it before we show a house. And
Right.
so we are meeting with them and explaining it and going through it, and a lot of them, honestly, if I want to be honest, out of 100%, 90% have no clue what I'm talking about as far
Yeah.
as the settlement.
They're probably sitting there, they're
Yeah.
probably doing what this guy's doing, like
Yes.
nodding his head, but
Mhm.
the finger on his chin, thinking like, okay, I hear you, Angela.
I have
But
no idea what you're talking about.
right, right, right,
So, I mean, I just go over it and explain to them there was there was a lawsuit and what happened, and kind of go through that scenario with them and tell them that we have to be transparent with them, even though we were before, but
yeah,
somewhere down the line, somebody wasn't. And so, Washington's really good. I love the fact that they always set us up for success as a realtor, to to explain things to the buyers and to the sellers as well
right.
about how this works, and going over all the forms with them, and it's really detailed, and I just really love that about Washington.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Um, between you and me, I think this necessary conversation about how you and your peer brokers get compensated, I think it has more of an effect with first time buyers as
Mhm.
opposed to the other segments of our mutual clients. You
Most
agree?
definitely, most definitely, and a lot of my clientele are first-time home buyers because 'cause they're military, and
Yeah.
usually they're renting, and then they get to Washington, they're like, "Wait, I wanna stay here," you
Right,
know,
right.
and and even they buy it, and then they of course, they start thinking they're gonna rent it out. Of course you can, because the military is a turnover, and you can always rent it out, so,
Right.
they put that in their portfolio, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely on point. I completely agree with you. as we now move the conversation slightly away from one of the things that you do, which is selling, buying real estate, I must now kind of expose you a little bit, Angela,
Oh.
as I don't know how you have more than the typical 24-hour clock than the rest of us, because here is what I think I came to know about you. You're a published author. Am I right?
Yes, I am.
What motivated you to write these books? And I understand your target audience are children and maybe parents of the children. I can only assume.
Oh yeah, a lot of my buyers are my friends and people that know me, and I went to school with my kids, and a lot of my buyers are, they don't have children, so they buy it to support me. So, but yeah, it's great. I was when I was in college, I wanted to write children books, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to write about. So, um, let's see, 18, 57. So many years later.
Right.
I get this cat. How do you get over there?
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Oh,
Your muse,
yeah,
right?
there.
Yeah.
That's like driving a boat, like I told you earlier, trying to point. But yes, I had a seller, and then we bought a home. She bought a home in Yakima, which is over the mountain, which
Right.
is the volcano, but in Washington it's called the mountain,
Okay.
as my grandbaby tells me. And she bought a house and they had kittens. They left 3 litters of kittens. And so she calls me and she's like, Angie, I cannot keep these cats. I have my own animals. So I was like, okay, I have a rescue. I have an animal rescue. I have a horse rescue.
Okay.
And so I said I would come get the kittens. And so I went over there. And by the time I got there was only 4 left.
Okay.
And so I took them back over the mountain. Hence, in the book, Gigi drives over the mountain. And I rehomed these cats. But Keke, I kept. And he's just been my little muse for 3 years. And every time he does something, I'm like, I have to write a book because you are just crazy.
Right.
And the kids love him. All the neighborhood kids know him. My neighbors will text me pictures of Keke on their front porch or back porch looking out. Kiki's over here visiting. So everyone in my neighborhood knows my cat, which is so funny. He's like a little famous cat.
Yeah, Keke the rock star,
Yeah,
as well as your a real estate assistant, right?
Yes, he is. Sometimes he hangs out and walks across my my board and then hangs out beside me sometimes, but most of the time he wants to be outside roaming around.
Yeah. How long does it take you to write, the draft of your books? Is there a usual time frame that you feel like, I can knock it out? I can knock out this first book in so much time?
I can write a book in a day, one children's book. But then I have to, of course, proofread it and fix everything in it that's wrong.
Right.
And send it over to my publisher, who is Honors Ability. And they're in Texas. So they're amazing as well. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even know what I'm doing. First thing about writing books, for sure. So he helps me with getting it ready for the public. And then I have a couple more books coming out that are not about Keke, and I'm thinking about writing a novel, which should be also fun because me write a novel. Okay.
Well, you and I both know this in the business of real estate, because it's a relationship business. And at the very core, you and I, as a team of service providers, are helping our clients make the moves for their life events. I can only imagine you probably have a lot of stories.
I do. And Keke has many stories. In fact, one of the books is coming out. He goes to the farm, and that's also one of my clients. So he not only is incorporated into my real estate, he's incorporated into my life, into my kids' life, and the neighborhood. And I brought the books to actually, my grandbaby took one of the books to her kindergarten class, and now all the kindergartners, when I went to her graduation,
Yeah.
I felt like I felt famous because they were like Gigi, and they all knew me because of this book that the teacher read to them during school. So it's affected the community as well, you
Right.
know, and I kind of tell people, and I do real estate too. Like that's my full-time job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me lean in and whisper this to you. Maybe, just maybe, your audience of your published books, you're grooming them early and often to be your future sellers and buyers of real estate. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. Just remember Gigi in 20 years.
Oh, so as we talk about Angela's other pillar that she spends time with, maximizing this unbelievable 24 plus hours clock, she has generously asked me to offer this to all of our social media audience members, whether you're local friends, fan base of her there in Greater Seattle, whether you might be in my metro area, Chicago, or whether you are in a metro area that we don't know about yet, but you are scratching your head thinking, I want to learn more about Keke, but more importantly, thinking about, and I want to move to Greater Seattle. Here's the offer for all of you watching this as a live stream or as an on demand recording. All you have to do is this. It's really simple. We're going to make it fun. All you have to do is drop and post a comment on social media. Facebook, easy. LinkedIn, just as easy, as well as my YouTube channel. I'll share with you how you can get to that before we wrap up today's live stream. All you have to do is drop your post, a comment as to how did Angela come up with her muse, Keke, the character in all of her books, right? So drop your comment, drop your post. Angela is generously going to share with you a copy of her next book. So there you have it, just to keep this fun and entertaining.
Mhm.
As we wrap up our live stream episode today, let's now talk about, we're going to swing back to real estate.
Okay.
I know your focus, your niche is helping military families move into and out of Greater Seattle. That
Mhm.
makes perfect sense to me, because let's talk about the fact that there's so many like military bases in the Greater Seattle area, right?
Right. Washington in general. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on the corporate side of business, whether it be the Amazons, Google, Microsoft, Starbucks, and Costco, the list keeps going.
It
There's a
does.
lot of eligible veterans that now work in the corporate world as well. So sometimes
Mhm.
they're making their move up, maybe right sizing, downsizing, and or looking to add to their real estate portfolio. So that is why you have decided, you know what, that is my niche. You guys are my people, right?
They're my people. Yep, because we were in the military and we did the moving around, and I get it. I understand it. You need it to be seamless between the buy-in agent and the selling agent in two different states,
Yeah.
and so and then trying to get all of your material, your inventory here and your family, and so yeah, that's a lot of reason why I decided to be on the military relocation team, because I can understand those needs and wants and how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who may be watching, who are veterans, um, who may be family members of veterans, certainly hear this out. I mean, one of the greatest benefits for a consumer who served in the military is you can absolutely finance 100% of what you're going to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost as if you're going to engage Angela as your broker, find that property that you want to buy with nothing more than kind of a reasonable security deposit. And then the rest, between Angela and myself, will help you figure that out. So as we wrap up, how can you get in touch with myself if you are a real estate broker with a unicorn story, just like Angela's? and or along the way, if you do need financing to make your next chapter a reality, how can you do that? It's real simple. Simply scan the QR code that you see here. I will gladly start a conversation with you to engage you if you want to be a guest in my next upcoming episodes of Selling That House, or if you need financing along the way. So as we wrap up, let me ask my music posse to close out today's episode. And for today, we thank you for tuning in, listening to Angela's story, her books, and of course, how can she help you move to your next chapter of your life events? Here we go. Adios, everyone.